Welcome into the show. What's up, everybody? Wes Moore with you. Glad you're joining us for more sports. It is game night, ready for Arkansas, Texas A&M a little later tonight, Bud Walton Arena, and we're going to get you set for tip-off, 8 o'clock tip-off, by the way, ESPN2, and that will be following another game on ESPN2, the Texas-Florida game. I'm keeping an eye on that on my phone. Hey, Texas is off to a good start. They lead Florida 27-26, and that would be huge for Arkansas. Florida was to lose this game tonight. Hard to root for the Longhorns, but you got to do it tonight. Coming up on the show tonight, we are going to preview this game. We are going to also take a look at seeding. Lenardi had a very interesting tweet today about his bracketology, and we'll talk about the scenarios for the SEC tournament. Old buddy of mine, Josh Neighbors from our days at the Buzz, will join us here in a bit and be like a reunion, our former Razorback basketball post-game shows. Let's get this thing started. I want to thank Gwatney Buick GMC for sponsoring all of our interviews on More Sports. They've been with me from the beginning, and they mean a lot to me. And I hope you pay it forward. Go see our friends at Gwatney Buick GMC, 5700 Landers Road, right next to Sam's Club. And right now is a great time to trade in. You may be upside down, but Gwatney Buick GMC will get you right side up. Bring your tax return to Gwatney Buick GMC this month, and they'll match it for $1,000. Look, it's the end of the month. You're getting great deals. You're going to get even better deals at the end of the month. Now's the right time to go. Head on out to 5700 Landers Road, like I said, North Little Rock, next to Sam's Club, and see some of the deals they have, like the Sierra 1500 Crew Cab, Elevation model, 0% financing up to 20% below MSRP. If you'd rather get a Buick, they've got the 2026 Encore Preferred or the 2026 Invista Preferred, as low as $199 a month. Go to the website, GwatneyBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade. Ticker brought to you by Centennial Bank, and Centennial Bank is all about strength and consistency and a commitment to building trust. For generations, Arkansans have relied on Centennial Bank for steady guidance, local decision-making, and financial solutions that stand the test of time. From personal banking to business to home loans, Centennial Bank is built on relationships that last. Discover the strength of a bank that believes trust is earned every day. Visit my100bank.com or stop by your local Centennial Bank member FDIC. And security is at the top of mind of everybody. If you'd like a better security company, or you're just thinking about doing it for the first time, I highly recommend A+ Alarm and Security Services. I've been using them for more than 20 years. They installed my alarm and camera system. Never had a single problem with them. They do residential and commercial security. A+ Alarm delivers reliable protection you can count on. A+ Alarm truly is the key to peace of mind. Call them at that number on your screen or go to the website, aplusalarm.net. Let's get this going. Start talking about A&M Arkansas.
All Arkansas, all sports. It's More Sports.
Neighbors joins us on the show tonight. Josh, welcome in. I'm ready to talk a little basketball with you. How are you, man?
Well, you can see the Christmas tree is still up in the girlfriend's house, so time moving a bit slower over here. But Wes, it is good to see you again, man. It's been a minute. You and I have still been in contact, but it's the first time that the folks have seen us together since our basketball postgame shows. So it's nice to be able for us to talk a little bit of hoops together, because that was kind of always our thing.
I want to put you full screen so everybody gets a good, clear look at that Christmas tree.
Christmas tree.
That is awesome. It is February 25th. We are 2 months from Christmas, away from Christmas. But you know what? I'm fine with that. One year, my mother, when I was a kid, kept up the Christmas tree all year long and just decorated it for different holidays, whether it was Valentine's Day, July 4th, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and just kept it up the entire year. So look, I can respect that.
My mom sent me one too when I started living here, and I just kept it up. It was like, I mean, a table-sized one. And I'll say that I did the same thing your mom did, but to be honest, I was just lazy and didn't put it back. So.
All right, we got a good look at the Christmas tree. Let's talk about this A&M game. Arkansas is favored by 7.5 tonight. The over-under's 170.5. Arkansas has been really good at home, minus the Kentucky game. In fact, they've been winning the majority of their SEC games by double digits. They really had it double digits against Missouri. Remember, the Tigers got that late dunk, kind of meaningless, and made it an 8-point game.
Meaningful for some, though.
Yes, it was very meaningful. And the feeling was a lot of people thought that line was way too high. And I know a lot of people who were on Missouri getting those points, even though they thought Arkansas was going to win. And so, yes, you're right. That was not a meaningless play at the end of the game. How do you see tonight going?
I think it's going to be similar because Missouri wants to get up and down. They want to get up and down too. A&M really, I mean, they're one of the best scoring teams in the country. I believe they're fifth in the country in scoring nearly 90 points a game. So, I think that is good news for Arkansas because really, Wes, like out of the teams that want to play an up and down pace, I mean, Arkansas is top of the heap to me, at least in the Southeastern Conference when it comes to that. I think that if you think about last year's Florida team, like they can get up, they can get up and they can really run. But like I think a lot of the good teams this year, they do want to slow it down just a little bit, right? Duke's strength is their interior. Obviously, Houston's strength is their offensive rebounding. Michigan's strength, is kind of a combination of everything. But Arkansas's strength is their guards, right? It's that three-headed monster that it can throw at you on the perimeter with Richmond, also with Wagner at times, with Thomas, and then also obviously with Darius Acuff Jr. So getting those guys out in transition, getting the defense really kind of on their heels, and then isolating them on the perimeter and making them have to make some choices is what Arkansas does well. So I know A&M wants to play up and down, but I mean, Arkansas is more than willing to oblige them if it's going to happen in Bud Walton Arena because that's kind of the way Arkansas wants to play.
What do you think of Bucky Ball and the pressing, the trapping? Will that have an effect on Arkansas and their guards?
Remember you and I watched the Texas Tech game? We were like, if you're going to double Darius Acuff, it's like the worst decision ever because he has got the ball on a string, right? It's like he's got this ability to kind of pull back from a double team. I guess the one thing is that, look, Bucky McMillan's done a fantastic job this year at Texas A&M. There is no doubt about that. I think that there's some concerns whenever a coach like Buzz Williams leaves. He's pretty good in those stretches for schools like Virginia Tech, right? Like he was very good at Marquette. He was very, very good, for A&M for a while. And there was some concern there, but McMillan has really taken the ball and just and installed his own style in very quick fashion. I just think that if you've got maybe the best ball handler in college basketball and Darius Acuff, trapping is not always going to be the best thing that you can do because, I mean, he doesn't turn the ball over. So maybe he's got a bad night, but I don't know if that's going to be the best way to do it. Look, Arkansas, if they get sped up, West, the one thing that's good about them is they try to attack the rim. Yeah. So, like, they might be out of control at times, but really, if you're trying to get to the rim, that's the best thing you can do when everything's helter-skelter. Go and attempt the easiest type of basket. Don't try to, take bad off-balance jumpers. Get to the basket.
Well, I hope A&M presses and traps because I feel like Arkansas is going to do a good job not only beating it, but making them pay. And Arkansas on the fast break, finishing at the basket, is as good as they come in the NCAA. And we could see a bunch of dunks and alley-oops and just that crowd would get into the game. So I don't know that unless they're successful with it and they create some turnovers and get some cheap baskets. But if Arkansas is making them pay time after time, they'll have to stop. They'll have to quit.
Yeah.
And trap.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of those Brazil games where he goes like 10 for 12, because it's like it's every shot he takes will either be an wide open three or it's going to be a transition alley-oop. It feels like it's gonna he's gonna be the threes and layups king in these kinds of games. Yeah, I mean, that's the one hard thing for college basketball teams sometimes is how do they make the adjustment? Like, how do you play a certain style? That certain style is great. I think about when Houston would play, I think they played Syracuse in the tournament probably 4 or 5 years ago. And like the zone is uniquely built to kind of make kids be like panic in the tournament. And Houston was just like, hey, we're going to toss the ball at the rim and just go and grab the rebounds because box out assignments are pretty hard to do. And they just got smoked doing that. And Syracuse had no adjustment for what Houston was doing. Mm-hmm. Does A&M have a second gear, right? Do they have a counter to the counter, That's something that Bucky McMillan will have to see, if his team can do it, or are they going to play into Arkansas's hands? I mean, yeah, Arkansas could have a bad night, when it comes to running the floor. But I mean, how many bad nights have they had in up and down games? Like, let's be honest. I mean, the Alabama game, it's not like they played poorly, right? They could have just as easily won that game, even shorthanded, as they did lose it. So if it comes to scoring points, if you put Arkansas at home, I think you feel pretty good about up and down contests.
I looked it up today. Texas A&M is way down the list on shot blocks per game. They're not big. They don't have a shot blocker. I feel like this is a game where Arkansas is going to exploit, hit the paint, points in the paint, points at the basket, dunks, layups. This is an Arkansas type game. We've seen it several times, twice this year, where they've had more than 60 points in the paint. I'm not predicting 60 tonight, but I think they'll have a bunch of points in the paint because A&M doesn't have a shot blocker.
Right. And the thing about the type of shot they give up around the rim, if you're going to press and you're going to trap, you're really, and there's no Zach Edey behind you to be like, all right, we've got the great, the great wall is going to be at the rim. And you're right. Yeah, this is not they did not block a ton of shots. I think it's just over 3 a game is what they average, which is around 200th in the country, somewhere in that range, which, I mean, not terrible. You're top half of all of college basketball, but also we're talking about the elite levels right now. So, it's not X. I think it's a very good point about, look at the rim, against a press, shots at the rim are not oftentimes going to be toughly contested because usually it means that you've gotten past the initial traffic.
Well, and I think this is a game where Billy Richmond thrives, like you said. Trevin Brazile could thrive, and I think Malik Ewing. I want to see Malik Ewing back up the 18-8, 16-8 he had against Missouri. Do it again tonight. Be involved offensively and carry over on the defensive end, rebounding, block shots, and get him involved too.
Yeah, I think the defensive part's big too. I mean, look, like Arkansas can have a bad defensive night, but he can still have a good one. I think they need to start building his confidence on that end because what's coming on Saturday? Here comes Ruben Chinyalu. So, you kind of want him feeling pretty good about how he's playing on the defensive end, especially in this game as you bleed into the toughest challenge outside of Cam Boozer that they will face, I think, this year in the interior, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. The threat for A&M offensively, I think, is because they're so diverse. I mean, there's not just one guy. AG is good, and he gets their points. He's their leading scorer, but they've got, 5 other guys 6 other guys, really, that can get double digits on you.
Yeah, this isn't I mean, look, if you haven't watched A&M yet this year, they've got 4 guys who average over 10 points a game. And they end up getting Pop Isaacs over who, I mean, I thought it was a weird fit when they got Pop Isaacs because he is a little bit more of he's a half court player. It was a bit odd. I think that's why you see him kind of down the list, but he's nearly averaging 10 a game, which is, it's an odd fit, but yeah, I mean, AG is their guy, but the thing about AG is he is like their swing forward, type guy. He's only 6'7", so that is the interesting part. But between Hill, Griffin, and Dominguez, you got 3 guys who are good scorers, and especially Rylan Griffin, I believe, came over from Florida, 42% three-point shooter, and Dominguez is 41. This is, and Isaacs has elevated. He was a terrible shooter when he was at Tech. I mean, he really could not shoot well at all, even though he got a lot of open threes. They are another team, I think, that their shot quality is their best factor. Not saying the individual players are not good, but we call it Bucky Ball, right? So we are talking about a stylistic thing, right? And I think Wes, this is a good, the 2 sides of the coin are 2 teams that want to play up and down, but we talk about Darius Acuff. We're talking about Billy Richmond. We're talking about there's no Cal, Cal Ball. We're not talking about that. The other side of things, Bucky Ball has what's been talked about so it is a systematic type deal. Not saying these players aren't good. These players are excellent at achieving within this system, but it is a system. So look at the shot quality for A&M tonight, because Arkansas gets high shot quality because of their individual players. A&M has got high shot quality because the individual players are playing well in a collective system.
Yeah, when the All-SEC awards come out here in a couple of weeks, you're not going to see maybe any Aggies on the list. Maybe AG somewhere on the list. Because he does a little bit of everything, and he's kind of the heart and soul of that team. But that's it, and you nailed it. Everybody talks about when you talk about A&M, you know what you hear? Bucky Ball. Right. You don't hear about individual players, so I think that's a valid point. How do you feel this game goes? I said earlier the line is 7.5. Arkansas's favored. Over under is 170.5. What do you see this game?
I think Arkansas gets the 90s. Were they the 90s last game? against Missouri?
No, they were just short, right? No, they
No.
were. Yeah, they were.
Were
It was
they?
94-86.
Yes. So they were in the 90s last game. I don't think there's any reason to expect that they wouldn't again get there. And I'll tell you what, Wes, that'd be 3 straight games of at least 90 points, right? I mean, A&M, Alabama, they scored
Yeah,
115 or double
115.
overtime, obviously. But
But it
Missouri
was
game 90 plus.
95 at the end
Yeah,
of
exactly.
regulation.
So I think it's reasonable to expect them to be back in that number again. I mean, this is the way they want. And if they were playing a different team tonight, I might tell you something different. But because I think that they'll be willing to accept the terms of engagement that Texas A&M wants to give them. I think if I were to play this, I would play the total. I probably would take Arkansas as well. I probably would take Arkansas as well. But you always get worried because, I think Arkansas is over 8 points better than A&M. But when you got a game like this, like a 14-point lead is really it's going to swing like a 7 to 8 to 9 point lead swings, right? So it's like the kind of the margins are a bit, an 8-point lead feels like a 4-point lead in a game like this. It evaporates a bit quicker. That's how the Missouri game went, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I think that if I were to play it, I'd play the total because both these teams want to score. And I do think Arkansas wins. And I think they win by more than 8, but I feel more confident betting the over.
I totally agree with what you said. I'm kind of hedging on Arkansas and the points, but I really do think this game is going to go over. Bet Saracen has an awesome deal right now for new users. If you haven't signed up yet, and let's say you're watching on TV, scan that QR code with your phone, and it'll take you where you can register and enter the promo code WEST250. And once you bet $25, you get $250 in bonus cash. I mean, that's a heck of a sign-up bonus. It's happening right now. Look, if you're on your phone watching this, I know you can't scan that, but come back later on YouTube, put it up on your TV, and scan that promo code, and you get a great sign-up bonus thanks to Bet Saracen. All right, this is a huge game. Well, look, all the remaining 4 games are very big for Arkansas when it comes to seeding in the SEC tournament, seeding in the NCAA tournament. Lenardi had a tweet today talking about his bracketology and what this game means to both teams. I want to discuss that when we come back. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about the seeding for the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament.
It's pretty strange how good the deals are at Gwatney Buick GMC, and tax time is the best time to trade, even if you're in the upside down. Get GMC Sierra with more power than a Demogorgon at 0%, Buick Encore or Invista at just $199. Plus, we're matching your tax return up to $1,000. No alternate dimension required. We're pulling you out of the upside down with supernatural deals this month at Gwatney Buick GMC, next to Sam's in North Little Rock.
Strength isn't built by chance. It's built step by step, choice by choice. At Centennial Bank, we believe it's the everyday actions, done with care, done consistently, that lay the foundation for something greater. That's how we build trust. That's how we build strength. Let us help you create a strong financial game plan. When we work together, we win together. Centennial Bank, member.
Welcome back to More Sports. I know a lot of people are keeping an eye on the Texas game with Florida and Texas tied at 36. So the Longhorns are playing with them right now. There's about a minute left in the first half. This would be huge for Arkansas if Texas could pull off the upset. Josh Neighbors with us on More Sports tonight. And Josh, I want to discuss first SEC seeding. And I think this game for Arkansas, you beat Texas A&M. A&M's just 1 game behind Arkansas and Alabama. Tennessee's loss drops them a half game back. But if you beat Texas A&M, you've got a 2-game lead with 3 to go, plus you own the tiebreaker. I feel good about Arkansas's chances about being a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament, as long as they can, and they just don't fall apart down the stretch and lose Florida, lose Texas, and lose Missouri. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm with you, Wes. I think the one thing is that the tough part is they won't get a second crack at Alabama, right? That's kind of the, talking about seeding overall. I will say I like their chances against them on the neutral floor. There's really nobody in this league that I think Arkansas. I'm not sure they can beat Florida just because the matchup is so uniquely bad, so uniquely bad for Arkansas. Now, that being said, I think that in the game against Florida, if your guards can really outplay their guards, it might nullify what's happening in the post if at least if you have an average day. But I think the seeding in the SEC tournament matters for this team because I think Arkansas might be able to change their fortunes in an SEC tournament. And we mentioned this year how last year Arkansas was the higher seed in every single tournament game they played. The state of affairs this year is a lot different because while last year's team was a higher seed, I actually think that because they were a bit more well-rounded, they had a chance to, they could have maybe stood up a little bit better against Florida. We saw Texas Tech do it right with their size last year. They were able to do so. This year's Arkansas team, I think seeding and matchups really, really matters. I know we've talked about this a whole lot, but so I think seeding for the SEC tournament matters because if they can rip off 3 or 4 wins, make a championship game, heck, even win the SEC tournament, that could put them on. They could vault from. I believe Lenardi has them right now as a 5. You could see them, depending on how things go up until that time, go to a 3 seed, right, and push your way into a top 12 team. And if you're a 2 or a 3, feeling a lot better about your chances, just because you're going to avoid, a total wrecking crew until later on, way later on down the line. And so I think that is something that I'm the reason why we're mentioning, hey, SEC seeding, it matters. It's because the matchups for Arkansas are going to be very important because we've seen certain types of teams, Duke, Houston, the way Kentucky played against Arkansas, really give them fits in certain ways.
Well, speaking of Florida and guards, the way to beat them, Texas now has a 3-point lead late in the first half. Tremont Mark, the former Razorback, is leading Texas with 13 points. So the former Razorback, now with Texas helping Arkansas, at least to a first half lead over Florida. If Arkansas can finish in the top 4, and I'm feeling good, a lot better after tonight if Arkansas wins, then they don't play until Friday. They get a double bye into the quarterfinals. So you're a win away, 2 wins away from playing on the championship game on Sunday. Today you mentioned Lenardi, and he had a tweet, and it's his games for tonight. And for the Arkansas-Texas game, he wrote, both teams have a chance to move up 1 seed or 1 seed line with a win. Right now, he's got Arkansas as the number 1 5 seed. So a win, according to Lenardi, could push Arkansas to the 4 seed. And then you start thinking about it, Josh. You go to Florida. I mean, that to me moves you up another line. That gets you to that 3 seed. But even if you lose to Florida, I think that's not going to drop you back. But then take care of business against Texas and Missouri, go to the SEC tournament, win a game or 2, get to the finals. I still think there's a path getting to that 3 seed, even if they lose to Florida.
I agree with you completely because also thinking about it, if you mentioned that bye, well, ostensibly, if you're in the quarters, you're going to be playing a decent team, right? And if you beat decent team number 1, you go to a semi, you're playing another good opportunity there too. Now, other teams in your situation are most likely going to be having same opportunities, but as we know, I think the top of the SEC is still, this is, you and I have talked about this. This is not the league that it was last year. This is not all killer, no filler. There is some filler there. Missouri is a top 6 team in the league right now. They are fighting for their tournament lives. Last night, going into last night, Lenardi had them as an 11 seed with Santa Clara, so on the line there. A&M, top 4 in the league, but, they are, top 4, top 5. They're a 9 seed, so they're starting to flirt with that territory. But still, opportunities to improve your station are still aplenty towards the top of the league. So these situations that you talk about are big. And look, I think we've got to start viewing like that road wins at Missouri. Those are good wins, man, because nobody's going to Missouri and winning. When one team's done it, so it feels like so far in conference play. So I think we got to start viewing that a little bit differently. There are opportunities for Arkansas to continue climbing. I think Lenardi is saying, this is a chance tonight. Because I think Arkansas, in terms of AP ranking, West, has been in that, 15 to 22 range most of the year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when I watch them, and we watch a lot of college basketball, they're more towards top 15, in my opinion, at least. So I think the fact that they can actually start making that push in the seeding, I think that's important. This is the right time of year for that acknowledgement to begin.
Yeah, Arkansas has a quad 1 opportunity at Florida. They have a quad 1 opportunity at Missouri. then, like you said, the SEC tournament, there are a lot of SEC teams in the top 50, and on a neutral site, top 50, that's a quad one victory if you get that win. So you could get quad one victories in the quarters on Friday, semis on Saturday. So that would just only help their resume and increase the number of quad one victories they have. So they're going to have some chances in these last 5, 6, 7 games to move up in the seeding and improve it. And I think ideally, a 3 seed would be great. I mean, ideally, you win out these last 4 games and you're the SEC champs and you make it to the SEC finals, and you could probably make an argument they could get up to a 2 seed if they were the SEC tournament or SEC champs and made it to the finals of the SEC tournament. But look, that's a lot of stuff that has to happen.
Also, have you seen right now Lenardi has them playing Texas Tech, which like whoever draws Texas Tech as like a 4 or 5 is going to be very fortunate because JT Toppin is now gone. So, have you also seen the new graphic? The new graphic that Lenardi has up top? The basketballs going into a funnel and then there's a conveyor belt. If you have not seen the new bracketology graphic, go to the page. It's we really come a long way with the bracketology graphic.
Love me some Lenardi. Hey, by the way, Texas leads at the half, 39-36, so 20 minutes away from having a very meaningful game at Bud Walton Arena at 8 o'clock. Josh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on. Let's do this again sometime.
Always, Wes. Whenever, man. I appreciate you having me on.
You bet. Josh Neighbors joining us for more sports. Coming up later, let me tell you what we have. Tomorrow, we got an interview with Cam Curl, the former Razorback who is now in the NFL and doing really well in the NFL. He is going to join us, so we'll talk about his season and what the future looks for Cam Curl. And on Friday, got it confirmed. I can now tease it. Bray Cook is going to join us. He's the new former Razorback, of course, the new director of high school relations and former player relations at the University of Arkansas. If you got to see the video with Hayden Henry earlier this week, Hayden was really excited about this move, thought this would be huge for the University of Arkansas. And everyone that I've spoken to about this have given it nothing but thumbs up. And so we'll hear from Bray Cook on Friday on More Sports. Speaking of thumbs up, if you like this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already subscribed. If you are watching this on Twitter or Facebook, please go over to YouTube, do a search for More Sports, and subscribe there. It's free. And then you can hit your notifications so that you're notified when there's another video coming up. But, I'm on here Monday through Friday, usually right at 6:30, talking a little sports. And that is what we're going to do tomorrow night. We'll be back here at 6:30 talking with former Razorback Cam Curl. I hope you can join us. Thank you for watching tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow night for more sports.
All Arkansas, all sports. It's More Sports.